Hey guys, hey guys, blessings. Y'all, every time I say blessings, it reminds me of Byron. Blessings. You just tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess. Why? Y'all, listen, tonight is a bit of a challenge. Why, y'all? Because listen, when I talk to people, I like to look at them in their face. So tonight, I'm in the camera, I'm looking. So, y'all, listen, I'm excited with my hoarseness in my voice. Y'all, listen, there's a reason behind that. But in due time, somebody said due season, you're about to find out. Y'all, listen, God is super duper amazing. I'm excited about the guest on tonight. Yes, y'all. So, right quick, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Let's do sound check, mic check, all that good stuff. And y'all, we got the tea on tonight. Now, y'all, listen. I went into Ross, right? And anyone who knows me, I love mugs. And the cashier, she was like, you one of those ones as well, like me, who buy a lot? I said, listen, I love mugs. Amen. So, anyways, you guys, we're gonna hop into the tea on tonight. So, right quick, let me know if you can hear us. Can you hear us? My producer, he's giving me a thumbs up. Right quick, y'all. I have to give it up for my team. Shout out to Apostle C.E. Magwood. Yeah, y'all, production. Shout out to Angel Badger, Dominique, y'all, Halsey. Yeah, y'all, Candace Irving Brown, and also Amanda Wright. Yeah, y'all, and my legal team in the back. Yeah, attorney HBB, because the girl got married, y'all. All right, y'all, we're going to hop into it. But right quick, y'all, I want to share something with you guys. I have a welcome intro that I want to share. So y'all, welcome to Tea Talk with Prophetess Wise podcast, where we spill truth, we spill wisdom, and stir in the prophetic. Oh, come on now. This is the space to be stirred, strengthened, and set on fire. Somebody say fire, fire with purpose. Y'all, so it's time. Let's pour the tea on tonight. I'm gonna tell you in a second. So, right quick, y'all, as you're coming in the building, do me a big favor and share this podcast on tonight. All right, y'all, let me introduce my guest on tonight. Y'all, many of my guests is true and dear to me, y'all. This is one of my mentees on tonight. Amen. But she's not wearing a mentee hat tonight. Amen. So, all right, y'all, we're going to hop into this bio. Let's get into it. Jermika Kennedy, RNC, and also MSN. Jermika Kennedy is a native of Lancaster, South Carolina. She is a registered nurse with over 20 years of nursing experience. Shout out Jermika for that. She earned a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing in 2001 from the University of South Carolina of Columbia. Let's go, Gamecocks. And a Master of Science in Nursing from Charleston Southern University in December of 2015. Her nursing background, y'all, is OBGYN. This young lady is doing her stuff, y'all. She has also attended the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IN, in New York, New York, where she became an health coach. She's an author of two books, y'all, not one, two. Diamond in the Rough and How I Went from Country Cooking to mainly a plant-based way of eating. Jermika loves health and wellness, traveling with her family, and educating women on ways they can move towards healthier lifestyle. She is happily married to Terrence Kennedy, who lives in Columbia, who also, of course, they married. They live in Columbia, South Carolina, with her husband and their 3-year-old son. TJ. Yeah, y'all, Terrence Jr. So y'all help me welcome the one and only registered nurse and author, Jermika Kennedy.
Blessings, everybody. Good evening.
Blessings. Blessings. How are you doing on tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm excited, Jermika, about tonight's podcast. We're gonna let our hair down and we're gonna get into some natural tea and some spiritual tea as well. And we'll get into the tea, y'all. So Jermika, what tea are you sipping on tonight?
Tonight I have elderberry and hibiscus.
You know, and it's I got a surprise for you at the end. Elderberry and hibiscus. So y'all listen. So I'm sipping y'all on hibiscus, some bay leaves, y'all, and some sour sop. So we're gonna take a quick sip, y'all. Mm, mm. Y'all, the tea is good. I'm rocking a new mug on tonight, y'all. All right, Jermika, are you ready to hop into this tea?
I'm ready.
All right. So, everybody on Facebook, thanks for tuning in on tonight's podcast with Tea Talk with Prophetess Y. I want to thank you guys in advance for every like, every click, every share on tonight. And I will chat with y'all, amen, at the end of the live or during the live. So, y'all listen, help me welcome Jermika to the podcast on tonight. So, Jermika, let's hop into the tea on tonight. So, before we get into Jermika Kennedy, who is Jermika? Let's start with childhood Jermika.
Uh, Jermika is a country girl. I was raised by my parents as well as I was raised by um, my mom was really young when she had me, so she was like 17, I think, when she got pregnant, and then
Uh-huh.
18 when she had me. So at that time, we were living with her parents. So I was kind of raised somewhat by my grandparents.
Right. So you kind of remind me of Daquanda a little bit. 'Cause I was a teen mom myself. So when you're a teen mom, you know, you know, everybody, siblings,
Right.
the siblings and grandma. All right. So also, so tell me, like, what was that 5 year old or 7 year old Jamaica like? Was you a curious kid?
Uh, 5 year old or 6 year old Jamaica was quiet. And
Right.
when I was younger, I was always really sickly and very
Mm.
small, kind of frail.
Hmm.
So I have a younger sister, and she was always really bigger than me. We're like 2 years apart, but when I
Hmm.
was, you know, um, like 6, 7, 8, and stuff, I mean, she
Right.
basically towered over me, even though I was her older sister.
Right. So when
So
you say you were sickly, what does that mean?
I always was sick for some reason. I don't know, from like stomach aches and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Um, I don't know.
Got you. Got you. So then how was elementary? So how was your elementary days? Being
And
a little, so you were pretty much boutique,
yeah,
Jamaica.
yes, I've
Well,
always been
actually,
petite.
still it's boutique, Jamaica.
Yes.
So you were boutique. So were you were shy? So I know you wasn't a bully because being a nurse, so did you always have that caring aspect upon you even when you were in elementary?
Um, I don't think not so much elementary school, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in elementary I was very quiet, shy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't have like a lot of friends and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
mainly had like one or two that I kind of hung with and stuff. I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't get into like really big groups and stuff. So,
Got you, got you, got you, got you. So let's run over to middle school. So Jamaica, quiet. So what was that middle school? Because Jamaica, today's time, middle school is different.
yes.
Back then, middle school in our time, I don't know if it was a lot of drama. Maybe we were kids and I didn't really notice it. But how would you say your middle school days was, especially sixth grade?
Sixth grade. Well, at that time when I was in middle school. Well, back then it was junior high. So in the sixth grade, I was still at the elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all sixth grade was still in elementary.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you got into seventh grade and eighth grade with the bigger kids, how was that journey?
Uh, it was almost. I was very very excited about going to junior high. I remember when I was in the
Right.
seventh grade and stuff because some
Right.
of my older cousins were there. But then it kind of was like scary because these girls like towered over me and stuff.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, and then I was the one that was always like carrying books and stuff because I can remember at one time I was going in a door or something, and these big girls was like running out, so they just knocked me down with all my books and stuff. So, um,
Right.
and I was always like a studious in junior high,
Right.
elementary school, and even high school. So I
Right.
always like
Right.
to read and stuff like that. A
Right.
nerd, I call myself.
You about to say, was you like a little nerd?
Yes.
Right. So did you get teased any?
I did. Of course I did. I remember one guy telling me that I was Steve Urkel's sister.
Oh wow.
But
And
yeah,
it's so funny because middle school, either I believe it's like either a few things. Either someone's been bullied, or they're the bully, or they protect the bully.
right.
So you say you were bullied. Pretty much, was you bullied? So how was that bullying days? Now the quantum bullying days was like, let me make a bad grade because I don't want to be teased or beat up. So how was your bullying days? Other than I know you said calling you Steve Urkel's sister.
Um, some of it was just because I was like really small and kind of shy and stuff. Like some of the
Right.
girls that I went to school with at that time, they were, like very interested in boys and stuff. And that just,
Right.
I mean, I was interested in boys, but not what my grandma called fast. I wasn't like running after boys like how some of those little girls were. And
Yes, sir.
and then at that time, some of them were like already kind of like wearing makeup and
In middle school?
yeah, I think so. And so
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
that just quite wasn't me when I first started
Got you.
junior high and stuff. So
Got you.
I don't
Got
know,
you.
even the way I wore my hair, clothes, and stuff. Because
Right.
again, I came from the country and stuff, so my um, aunts and stuff, they were a little older and stuff. So they would like, well, one of my aunts, she was my favorite aunt, but she would like get me stuff. And then when I would go to school, they'd be like, "Girl, what you got on? What is that?"
But what did they ever tell you? You look country?
No, you mean oh, what I had on? No, they
Yes.
didn't tell me I look country.
Huh?
But when I got older and older, they told me, "Oh, you really, really sound country." Especially when I moved to Columbia, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I need to talk to you much more." Because like at the church that I go to now, they were like, "Oh, you so country." I
Wow.
didn't
So
realize
so
that.
so was it Lancaster and Columbia? Like, what's the difference in the distance?
Lancaster is about an hour and
Oh,
15 minutes. So
Lancaster.
yeah, and it's like going up toward Rock Hill and Charlotte.
Got you. So Lancaster was country.
Yes, it's a little small town.
Okay. Okay. How much people you say the population is?
I'll say a few thousand people. So
Okay.
everybody
Wow.
know everybody.
That sounds like Walterburg. Sounds like small town Walterburg. Listen, growing up in a small town is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. So did you have the caring for so did you have dolls and did you know you wanted to do nursing or care for people when you were young, or that came like when you got in high school?
um, I knew when I got in high school that I wanted to become a nurse after watching. I have an aunt, and she was doing home health care.
Got you.
She wasn't a nurse, but she was doing home health care. And
Right.
I remember when I was in high school, she would let me kind of go to some of the patients. She would ask the family if that was okay and stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but one person's house that I went to with her, I just seeing her face and the man, I guess he was like Alzheimer's or something, so he didn't speak. But just
Right.
seeing the way, his face lit up when he saw her, and
Right.
she would do little stuff for him and stuff, and he was so glad to see her and stuff. I was like, I want that.
Wow.
Um, And then when I got in high school, I had a friend that was like sickly. She had sickle cell, so I
Hmm.
can remember kind of taking care of her. She like let me know,
Mm.
hey, I'm kind of having a crisis or something. So um,
Right, right, right. So how was that though? Being in high school, still being a teenager, and someone with sickle cell, and like you say, going through a crisis. For those about sickle cell, going through a crisis is what it is. It's a crisis.
and
So
very
being that young, did you take on the responsibility, or how was that like?
painful. I just kind of at that time did what I could to comfort her and stuff. But I guess I did have like a nurturing um, type again
Right,
because my mom worked a lot, and so
right.
at that time I always had to like take care of my sister. And then when I
Got you.
got in high school and college, some of my cousins that had kids and stuff, I would take care of them and stuff.
Right,
So
right. So Jamaica, all through high school, still you knew the path. Your aunt took you in the homes with her clients, and you're like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a nurse. Did have at any time did your career change where you wanted to, like, I want to do something different?
um not really. I think I always wanted to take care of women having babies.
Got you.
Even now, I'm not doing direct patient care. I miss that, but then
Right.
I gotta, I'm blessed to like not do it right now, especially with me having TJ. So I do
Right. We haven't even get into that tea yet.
that.
Listen, that's a whole nother tea.
Yes.
Awesome. So then how does it work though? Over the years, you working with patients, in there with babies. Cause I know by you being in my mentorship group, you are a introvert. So how does that work? How does the introvert Jamaica work with working with clients when you were actually in the field?
um, Actually, it kind of worked out just because with me being an introvert, I love like the one-on-one care and stuff. So I feel like I would have felt out of place if it was like a big group of people or something. I had to do it that way.
Got you. So Jamaica was focused from elementary, middle school, high school. Now you're in college. So now we're moving from Lancaster, and now we're in Columbia.
Hmm.
So you're in the dorm. So how does this work?
It was a culture shock to me, basically.
What do you mean by that, culture shock?
Just because um, I remember my mom dropping me off. My mom didn't have a truck at that time, so she asked my uncle, who had a truck, to
Uh,
you know, load me up, and get me off to school and stuff. So he
uh,
did and stuff. And she said that she thought we were just gonna kind of hang out, and after I unpacked, we would kind of walk around campus together and have dinner and stuff. And my uncle was ready to get out of there.
what? Why was he in a hurry?
uh, I don't know.
So
But and
how
so
was that? Go ahead.
he was ready to leave and stuff, and she was kind of looking, so I just like immediately start boohoo crying and stuff. And then he was like, oh, I got to get out of here now. She crying. I got to
Oh
go.
my God. So he left you there
Yeah, they
on
left
you.
me. And I remember walking around the campus. I was trying to find somewhere to eat and stuff, so I remember walking through campus. And at that time I didn't know where all the like eating places were on campus and stuff. So I remember seeing a Burger King when we passed, so I went there and got me something to eat.
So
Until
what was going through your mind? Like,
I was like, I can't believe they just left me like that. And none of my friends were there. My roommate, she wasn't there either. I think so. I was just
right.
by myself. So
So it was a culture shock. Like, I'm no longer in the country. I'm now in the city.
and by
And
myself.
so how was that adjustment?
It took me a good little bit to get adjusted and stuff because I remember I would call my mom and I would ask her to come and pick me up. So I would want to go home every weekend. And I remember she would do it for a little bit. Then she told me one time, she sat me down and she was like, "Look, you're going to have to stay at school sometime." And so I was like, "Okay." So I started staying at school. And then she called me again and said, "You're going to have to come home sometime."
Oh, so when did it click where, okay, now you calling your mom every weekend to come pick you up because you're in a, like you said, a culture shock. Now you done settle in and you feeling your way and mom telling you it's time, come, you got to come visit. So when did you actually meet the love of your life?
I met Terrence after I had started working as a nurse,
Uh-huh.
and a nurse that I worked with kept trying to set me up. And she was like, "Hey, my husband works with this guy, and he's a nice guy. You know, he seems like a nice guy, and his last girlfriend broke up with him because he works a lot or something."
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, "Well, I don't want to meet him." I said, "He probably crazy, so no."
So you was like, so she's giving you the whole scoop on her husband's right or her husband or,
Well,
or
no,
boyfriend.
it was her husband. Oh, you talking? Well, it was her husband that worked with Terrence. So she was telling me why, his last girlfriend broke up with him.
So you getting the scoop, and so when did you let your hair down to like to get into a relationship? Because I know nursing, and I want to touch a little bit on that journey because I know we have a lot of people, Jamaica, that's listening, that's on that journey to become an RN, and I want you to look in that camera. What pointers can you give them, or what challenges did you face on that journey in becoming a RN? Did you do CNA, LPN, then RN, or you went straight RN?
Um, I did some like work at like during nursing school where I
Mhm.
worked at the hospital. Kind of, it was like CNA work.
Right.
Um, but I
Listen.
did it for a little bit, and then I just felt like in between like college, and that was like during the summers,
Yes.
when I would come home and stuff. I just felt like I really needed to like rest and stuff, just because some of the clinicals and stuff, like you have to get up early and do those for a couple of hours, then you got to come home and do work home or come home and do homework and stuff like that. So I just couldn't balance it all like that. So during the summers, I felt like that was my time to take a rest from school and that and stuff. But I will tell the future nurse to keep going.
Mhm.
If you're starting out doing CNA work and stuff, that's great to get some experience. But even if they're going to like a 2-year program, I say keep going. Get a bachelor's degree just because there's more opportunity.
So what kind of opportunities that you think is affordable?
Um, affordable, you
I
mean
mean, like it's
school-wise?
afforded to them. Yes.
Um, oh, you mean like what's the opportunity of them getting a bachelor's degree
Yes.
versus
Yes.
financial? Is more money to get like a higher degree.
Right. So how, and the reason why I asked that question because a lot of people opt out because they have exhausted financial aid, which I
Yeah.
didn't know you can that was a thing. Um have exhausted. So what would you say, what strategy could you give them to help them to keep going?
Um, and sometimes like when you're working and stuff, they have things where I know they'll pay you to go back to school and stuff. That was like something that was at the hospital when I first became a nurse, and they would kind of help with tuition reimbursement and things like that.
Right. So what will you tell that mom, that single mom? You of course you had we gonna get into that tea later about your son, but what will you tell have you when you were in the program, nursing program, did you see any single moms was there with you? Did you see any of their journeys?
Mm,
Are you just focused on Jamaica?
no, I did. I just had to think about who fit that category.
Gotcha.
Yes, I did go to school with some nurses that were like single moms, or some that were like expecting and stuff along
Right.
the nursing journey and stuff. So,
Right. Did you have to encourage them along the way?
um, no, not really. They were focused like how I was. We were
Awesome.
all kind of encouraging each other and stuff. We would study together and
Mhm.
things like that.
So, what will you tell that single mom or that wife that going back to get her RN? What will you tell her to do? Give her 3 pointers. I know you gave a little few. Give her 3 pointers that will keep her on a straight path. And I mean the one who's off.
The one who's, you mean like not wanting to, like she's wanting to stop going?
Yes,
Okay. Um, for one, I'll say nursing school is really hard, but just remember why you wanted to do it in the beginning.
that's it.
Um, and then another thing, um, I'm trying to think of like two other pointers to give her.
Well,
Uh,
you made a good one. That why,
yeah,
like, and that why should motivate you. That why, and something you said a minute ago that was very profound. You said pretty much y'all was already there encouraging each other.
yes,
You were there for the same reason. So what it sounds like is you guys pull off each other's strength,
yes, we did.
right? And you remembered each person remembered their why,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, so that's good. That's a good one. You have another one you said?
No, I said I was trying to think of two more.
I know
um,
putting you on the spot, right?
that's a good question though, but let me see.
Listen, it's okay. Amen. I know you're gonna think of it and you're gonna come back in the comment section and you're gonna drop it right there. Amen. Because go ahead.
Oh no, I was just laughing.
Oh, right. So you were laser focused. So now, so did you enjoy working in the hospital with other patients, or you just love delivering the babies?
Well, I didn't deliver the babies. I
Mm.
got them after they had the baby. After I got
Got
the
you.
moms after they had the baby, and
Right,
I did some nursery where I took care of the babies, and even when I had got trained to even go back there during the labor and delivery
right,
portion of the hospital and help with after the baby came out to take care of
right,
it and stuff. Um,
right.
but I don't know. Even in nursing school, I always knew that that was my um, that was the area of nursing that I wanted to do, the OB
Got you.
and postpartum.
Got you, got you, got you. We're gonna hop into a little bit of postpartum in a second. So, how was that journey um when you went to do your state board test?
It was nerve wracking. I mean, I studied and stuff, and I was still at home at that time, so I would study a
Got
little bit. And my sister was still at home, and she had a her oldest child at the time, so she was a little baby. I know she would come running in there, so I tell her play with her for a little bit, and I got to go study and stuff.
you. Right.
Um, but yeah, it was I don't know. I felt like I had to like pull aside and make sure I was laser focused on passing the test. I used like practice
Mhm.
test. I even went. I didn't have a computer at that time, but I would go to our library in Lancaster
Mhm.
and do some practice tests online and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But I just made sure I had as much practice to be prepared.
Right. So, what will you tell that person that's preparing to take the state board test to do practice tests
Yeah,
and
I say practice test. Make sure you kind of looking back over some of the stuff that because I know right when you're getting ready to graduate and stuff, sometimes they'll even give you little practice tests and tips and stuff. I'd say look, use all that stuff to prepare.
right? So, let me ask you this question. It's be rhetorical. So, is it good money in being an RN?
It is.
I'm gonna sip the tea on that, y'all. Don't y'all call for the money now. So it's very lucrative, you would say.
Yes,
Right. So that can motivate them to go keep on pushing.
but I feel like you have to have like a caring and nurturing um about you as well, because
Right.
everybody do it.
Right.
It's
So
not
you're
everybody.
saying if you just can't be about the money.
Right.
They gotta have, and when you say nurturing, I know what that means, but what does that mean to you and to the viewers when you say they need to have that nurturing?
Um, I feel like meaning like you want to take care of people and stuff, because
Hmm.
when you're a nurse, and especially when you're working in the hospital and stuff, you're gonna be taking care of people when they're most vulnerable, when they're at
Mm,
their lowest and stuff. So I feel like if you that's just not you, and you don't want to, somebody throwing up, and you don't want to, give them towel and stuff like that, then nursing may not be your thing.
right. And so it'll be safe to say, even though you were RN, you still had to take empty out some bedpans.
Oh yes, yes.
Jamaica said you chuckle on that one because people think Jamaica, and I had a background of nursing started.
Hmm.
And people don't understand that part. You're gonna see saliva, you're gonna be seeing bowel movements,
Hmm.
you're gonna smell it. So
Right.
it's another side of it. And if you can't stomach that side, I remember, and I know my husband, my producer gonna get me. He was like, I'm gonna do nursing. I'm gonna go in now. He's been a chef all his life, and he was doing in a season. He drove the buses that dropped the people off to the hospital and stuff, VA and all that. And oh my God, he was like, I'm gonna do this. I can do this nursing thing. And he came back home one day. He said, "Oh no, I can't do this nursing thing." One of the clients had a bowel movement on the bus, and he had to clean it up on the van. And
Uh-oh.
he transportation. He had to clean it up. He said, "Oh no, I don't. No, no, no." He said he had. Listen, Jamaica. He had he had protective face masks on and the shield, and I'm like, what? I'm like, you doing too much. I was
That's
like, yeah, everybody can't do it now. You
right,
have to have a heart
right,
for real, and a stomach.
right. And even some nurses, they don't want to do it, so they'll go and get the CNA, say, "Hey, such and
Wait a
such
minute.
cleaned and stuff." So
So
that just
that's the
wasn't me.
reason why, because I did CNA work, and oh my God, I love my RNs because you're one, but and the ones out there as well. But we had some lazy. So it wasn't they were lazy.
Yes.
Some of them they
Hmm.
didn't want to do that,
Right, right.
so they go get the CNA.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. So let me
Most
ask you a
definitely.
question, which I know the answer to it. So how did you treat your CNAs that was on the floor you were on?
I treated them on the same level, because my grandma always taught us that everybody is somebody. You ain't here and somebody else there and stuff. So I always treated everybody, you know, the same and stuff. Whether it was the janitor that buffed the floors at night, or
Mm,
the lady in the kitchen and stuff at the hospital and stuff.
mm,
Everybody the same. I talked to them, the CNAs, when we had somebody that had a C-section, so of course it's messy. So I go in and help them, clean
mm,
her up and stuff like that.
mm. Wow, wow. So what will you tell that CNA out there who's like, you know what? I can't go. I have to do this thing step by step. What will you tell that CNA who is having a hard time, being overlooked, as well as maybe being underpaid? And what will you tell her? Or maybe she have that nurse that not too nice and kind. They might not have nurse Jamaica.
Oh,
What will you tell that CNA worker that's in school? What will you tell her?
um, I tell her she is worth respect, and I appreciate her work, the
Mm,
work that she does,
mm,
and I would encourage her to keep going
mhm,
further too with her
mhm.
education.
Amen. Amen. Look, you guys, you've tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess. Why? I had the one and only, y'all, Jermika Kennedy in the building. Yeah, y'all, she's out there in the nursing street, representing as y'all know country, right? I say street. RN. Yeah, y'all. So, all right, Jermika, let's hop into the love of your life.
Okay.
When did you let your hair down and let Mr. Terrence into your heart?
Um, well, I told you about when my coworker,
Yes.
was trying to encouraged me to go on a date with him. So
Uh-huh.
after she had kept nudging me, asking me a few times, I finally said yes, that I would go on a date. And it was supposed to be a double date so I would feel comfortable, but then they bagged out. Her and her
Th-
husband, they bagged out. So
You
we
think they back that on purpose?
I think they did.
So, so because all through nursing school you were focused, you didn't get into any other relationships. You was so what made this time different? Where you say, okay, I go on this date, I go.
um After talk we he and I talked on the phone for several times and stuff. He almost sounded like some of the guys and stuff in my hometown and stuff, because I was like, oh, you sound like a country boy, because he was like, oh, I like to go fishing and stuff like that. So I was like, my cousins and my uncles and stuff go fishing.
All right, so when he went into that fishing, that kind of put you like, okay, he a country boy too. So is he from
He's from Colombia.
Columbia?
Mhm.
Okay, so y'all sit down. So where was your first date at?
We went to Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. So how was that being a is Terrence introvert as well?
Oh no, Terrence is an extrovert. Because even
So
after
how
we
was
had dated,
that, an introvert meeting an extrovert and just dating? So what made you pass this to the second date for the
um,
first date?
he was a gentleman. He was, doing things that, and then with me being a nerd, I didn't date a lot either.
Right.
So, I mean, he was opening doors and
Mm.
stuff like that for me. So he treated me special, and
Awesome.
that continued. Even after we had dated a long time and stuff, and then he was like, even saying, "I want you to meet my family, my
All
parents."
right now. Yo, we better get into the tea now, y'all. Listen, when a man say it's time to meet the family. So how was Jermika when he said the family?
I was kind of nervous, and I think first I can't remember, but he even said he wanted me to meet some of his friends. When he said some of his friends, I thought he meant some of his friends, and we went, and it was you. I knew that then at that time that he was an extrovert, just because it was about 30 people. I was like, wait a minute,
Ooh.
that's not some, that's a lot.
So how was that for an introvert meeting almost 30 something people?
He's like, oh, they just my friends. I don't know. I was so nervous.
So but you were able to get through it.
I did.
Right. So when you met his mom,
Mhm.
you saw like, okay, he loves his mom. So when did you see that this relationship can go further?
Um, it got to like a point where if he came to visit me, and then I hated for him to leave, or if I
Ooh.
came here, I hated to I hated to go back home.
So we still been a nerd, but we was a nerd. But
A nerd falling in love.
come on now, yeah. Y'all listen, we're getting it. We about to get into this tea now. Listen, y'all, on a podcast when you were an introvert, listen, we about to get into the tea. Some good. We've been in some tea, yo. We're gonna get deeper in the tea now. So now you're like, listen, like, okay. You were feeling yourself. So you let your hair down some more and you let Mr. Terrence in your heart.
Yes.
And then and then one day, so was it a year or so passed? And when did he pop the big question? How was that when he popped the big question?
um, he kept kind of alluding to, because at one point he came to visit me probably after dating for like maybe 3 years or something, and he was like, do you want to keep like just dating, or do you want to see
All
what
right.
something he asked me like to that extent or something, and I was like, well, no, I don't want to keep like dating or something. I don't want to date forever and stuff. And he was like, okay, that's what I thought, because that's what I want too.
Come on. So,
And
so Mr. Terrence was really, he was like, listen, I'm dating to be you want to be my wife, my wife. So what was going on in Jamaica's mind? Like, okay, is this man did you know he was gonna eventually pop that question, like, will you marry me? Or you were just like, okay, we dating.
um when we were dating, no, I didn't think we would get married. And then when he asked that, I knew it was like really getting serious. And
Uh,
then I really knew it was getting serious when we kind of started looking at rings and stuff.
all right now. So y'all going looking at rings. So how was that when he popped that question? Where where where
um,
where where you guys was at? If it's not
um,
too intimate.
well, I was still working as a nurse, and I
Right.
worked nights and stuff. And so he asked me something about you need to try to ask off this certain week or something so you can go to on family vacation with me and my family. And
Oh,
then I was like, I
wait a minute now, wait a minute. Let's back up now. I'm about to pull my tea up, but wait a minute now. So you was going on family vacation trip with the family. All
Mhm.
right now. So Jermika already had that man in the bag.
And
So
I
you
kind of
going
knew it was coming. Then I told him, I was like, I don't think I can ask. He's like, oh, you got to.
to
And then that's when I kind of knew. I was like, he probably gonna ask me.
so you had your spirit man told you
Yes.
it was coming close. So now y'all was on family vacation.
Mhm.
And where were you guys? Where you remember where you
We
guys was at?
we went to Disney World.
Mm. So he popped the questionnaire.
No, not at Disney. I thought he would at the park because I got my little outfit all together and stuff. And when we
Right.
were at Disney World, he didn't ask, and it was somewhere else. I thought he was gonna ask, and he didn't ask, and I was like, "Well, I don't think he's gonna ask." And then
Right.
I started fussing at him. I was like, "I don't think you want to get married." And he was like, "What?"
So
And
you
then
were expecting that you was expecting you knew it was close, but you didn't know when.
yes. And then he asked me, he had some kind of bag or something. He was like, will you go look in my bag for some clippers? I got a hangnail. And when I went, and then the ring was in there, and then I was like,
Was he on his knees?
yeah, when I turned around, he was.
Oh my God. He was on his knees. So you went in the bag, pulled the see the ring, you turned around, he on his knees. What was going through your mind?
My heart was like,
Well, you say yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
I was crying, and some of his family, they were like teasing me. They were like, did he have to beat you and do that, or make you do it, shake you? And I was like, no.
So how was that telling mom and grandma and that you're about to get married?
My mom was working, so I didn't get to share it with her. But I called my dad, and my dad is hard of hearing, so he said, "Who got engaged? Who?"
And what did it say when it was their little Jermika?
My grandma didn't want to believe it. She was like, "No," I guess because it mean I'm grown up and stuff.
Right. So they want Jermika to leave the nest.
No, well, my grandma didn't. And when Terrence and I got married, I had a house in Lancaster, so it was kind of close to my grandma's. So
Gotcha.
she knew I would have to sell it and stuff. So she was like, "No."
So wait a minute now. So wait a minute. Let's back up a little bit. So you were a single woman and you had your own house.
Yes.
Wait a minute now. You were doing your thing. So nursing was good to you.
Yes.
So what made you like to go out and purchase that home? Like, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted my own space and stuff. I felt like it was when I became a nurse. I felt like it was time for me to fly away from my parents and get my own space and stuff. And I saved up for it little by little and stuff. And I finally did it. And
Mm,
it was a starter home, but it was mine. It was nice. I took care of it.
right. What we tell that single person, because during that time you were single, what we tell that single person who want to get the house, what pointers can you or strategy you give them other than saving up? Some
Um,
things that you did.
um, I got my mind
Mm,
set, kind of ready to buy a house because I knew
mm,
if anything break, it's gonna be for me to have to fix, or
mhm,
I'm gonna have to buy stuff to go into it and stuff.
mhm.
That's mom and daddy and stuff, so it was gonna be
Right,
to take care of and stuff. But just kind of start thinking about those type of things, and if you
right,
really are ready to, you know, um, take care of stuff when they break and stuff, then you
right,
might be ready to be a home buyer.
Right, right. Cause so now Mr. Terrence, this woman here, she doing her thing. She about her business. So you have your home, and it was in Lancaster too.
Lancaster. Yeah,
Lancaster.
he said that was one reason why when Jennifer kind of um, was telling him about me, my coworker was telling
Uh,
him about me that that made him say yes, I want her number.
she knew right. He knew right then. Like, listen, she about her business. Amen. So awesome, awesome. So now we get married. How was the wedding? I know. I saw. I pull a few pictures. Um, y'all was by a lake. I think by a lake or something.
That was at the reception. It had like
Reception.
water behind where our reception was.
Right.
Yeah, but
So did you do the dancing and all too for the reception?
we did. I danced with my dad, and Terrence danced with
Oh,
my mom.
so being an introvert, like what was you sound like a introvert but a bold introvert. Like
I
so what was
was.
you like? I just got to do this thing.
And my friends and stuff, they were like, well, I was like, I don't dance and stuff. They were like, well, that's what comes with having a wedding, and so you're gonna have to dance. And my dad didn't want to dance, so he was like, you gonna get me out there, and I hadn't danced in like 20 something years.
Oh Lord. So that was a moment you and your dad shared, dancing, all that stuff.
Yes,
Amen. So now you move to Columbia
yes,
with your man.
yes.
You Miss Jermika, newlywed,
Hmm.
still doing nursing, right?
Yes.
Right. So then how was that? Did y'all wanted children? Was it in the plan? Or Mr. TJ just popped up?
We talked about it when we first got married and stuff, but with me, I felt like I was always the responsible person in my family. So I
Mhm.
took care of my sister, and when my cousins were having kids and stuff, I took care of their kids. And I don't know, I felt like I had already did that. So Terrence and I talked about it and stuff. And then when we got married, we were like I was 30 when we got married. I think he was 33. So I was like, no, I don't think I want to do it now.
So what made you think, because I know, and we're gonna kind of hop into a little bit of the health world, so what changed where the RN Jamaica, where there's medicine, there's science. Where did holistic meet Jamaica RN?
um, I'm trying to think. I I started using these supplements that
Mhm,
another RN had introduced me to.
mhm.
And at first I was like, no, I don't think I want to take that because I don't know what it's going to do and stuff. But then when
Uh,
I started looking at the ingredients and stuff, I was like, I love them plants. And then if
right,
pregnant people can take them, because she was telling me about pregnant people were taking them, nursing moms and stuff. I was like, it must be safe. So I was like, well, I might try it. And when I tried them, I mean, it like really made a difference and stuff. Like I had energy because I would have that afternoon where I felt like I wanted to take a nap after lunch and stuff like
right, right,
when I started taking the supplements and stuff, I really had energy. I felt better. And
right,
one was like a multivitamin, but the multivitamins that I would get at the store,
right,
I did not feel the way I felt when I started taking those. So I was,
right.
oh, okay. So some of this is like plants and stuff. So and then I have endometriosis, or I had been diagnosed with endometriosis too. So I kind of slowly already was kind of starting to change my diet to kind of help
So
with
right. So when you say endometrius, what do you mean by that? What is that in detail?
endometriosis is a GYN issue that women have where it's abnormal cells, and they can be implanted anywhere. Like it can be um, in your thigh. I've heard of that before. Like on the bladder, you can have the cells it's cells that normally in the uterus, but they can be like different places. So when you have your cycle, it's very, very painful.
Right.
So I had been suffering with that for years. I didn't get it diagnosed until I was in my 30s, and after me and
Mm.
Terrence and I got married and stuff. When I went to the doctor when I was 17, all they told my mom was that I had bad periods.
So you had heavy cycles?
Yeah, they were really heavy and painful, even in high school and stuff. I
Hmm.
remember I had to call my uncle to come and get me just because. I mean, I was in so much pain and having a lot of. It was hit really heavy at that time. So.
Right, right. Because a lot of women, they look at heavy cycles and bleeding for long periods of time, and they're thinking, it's just normal, but it's not normal. So
Mm-mm.
then now at 30, they diagnose you with endometriosis.
Hmm.
And what was that day like being told that diagnosed?
I kind of thought I had it like over the years, and even when I was
Mhm,
in nursing school, there was somebody that I was going to school with. She
mhm,
got diagnosed with it. I don't know if we were in nursing school or
mhm,
if she was like younger, but she
mhm,
said that the doctor told her that she may or may not be able to have kids.
mhm,
Um, I had been having issues even when I was working nights and stuff. I know I was telling one nurse, I was like, I'm hurting so bad, and she was
mhm.
like, wonder if that's what it is. I like, I don't know.
Right. So how does that affect your lifestyle?
um, it,
Well,
I mean,
then I know now it's different, but
yes.
back then when you were in the heat of it, how does it affect someone's lifestyle?
When your cycle come on and it's that painful, you may miss work, school. If it can be bad, like how mine was. I mean, you'll be sick, like nausea, vomiting, sick, along
Mhm.
with it and stuff.
So
And it
what would you
runs in
recommend?
families. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just saying it runs in families too.
Mm. So what would you recommend someone who may not know, but they're having long cycles for long periods of time, and they're having extreme pain? What will you, other than encourage them to go to the doctor,
Mhm.
what will you say to them?
Um, but besides, if you go to the doctor and they're not kind of giving you answers as to what may be causing it, you might need a second opinion.
Mhm.
But then sometimes, like in my case, I kind of looked at what I was eating and start taking stuff out, and that definitely helped.
So let's talk about that. Let's get into the tea
Okay.
of that. This is where holistics meet medicine. Medicine meets holistic. So now so what did the doctors give you for when they diagnosed you? Care plan did they say, okay, we're going to do this?
Um, Really, they just gave me like band-aids to help cover it up. And by band-aids, I just mean something to treat the symptoms. So they told me like birth control pills would help.
About to say that. Yeah.
Mhm, with that. And then they said if it got to a point where the pills weren't helping, the only other option was to have a hysterectomy.
Right. Did they offer that to you?
They did.
And what
Well, one doctor offered it to me, and then I went to she left Columbia and moved away to North Carolina, I think. So I started seeing this other doctor, and when I was in pain in her office begging her for that, she told me
mm.
no because of my age, because I was still in my 30s and childbearing. She told me she refused to do that on me. I was like, but I'm hurting. She was like, yeah, I know.
So you're like, listen, you're still young. Wow. So the pain was overriding your actual thinking, like, you know what? But then she's like, okay, no, you're too young. So, because
Mhm,
I want to really, Tamika, I said, Jamaica, I really want to dig into that because there's a lot of women, Jamaica, that's out here that's really struggling. And like you just said, Band-Aid. I remember me dealing with fibroids, and they always recommend birth control pills.
mhm.
They recommend iron pills,
Yeah.
supplements, right? Because you're losing a lot of blood. So I want to kind of dig in, tap in. So you went and got a second opinion, and she said no,
Mhm.
right? So what else kind of stuff they Band-Aid they want to give you?
Uh, if not birth control pills, then some type of birth control, like and then with me working in after I left the hospital, I've started working at a very busy like OBGYN clinic. So some of the women that would come in there complaining of the same symptoms that I had, they would offer
Mm,
them other stuff like an IUD to try to
mm.
help, or like Depo to kind of get rid of the bleeding and stuff like that.
but not actually getting to the root.
Right,
So what do you without because I'm trying to shred the light as well because when we're doing a set, you have to do. People always ask me, "Well, coach, give me the next diet plan, give me the next detox, give me this," and you can't really give. You have to because every person is different.
right.
And every program is custom for different types of people, body, blood, all that has play in it, right? So, what will you say? Or let's talk about you, for instance. What are some things where you say, you know what? They one want to give me hysterectomy, one say I'm too young. And what did you do at that moment saying, I have to take my health back?
Um, I just felt like none of the stuff was really helping and stuff because some of the at one point I had taken like 13 of the different pills because I would take this birth control pill and then it would do something where it make me like have nausea and vomiting, and then so they would say that one was too strong, they put me on
Wow.
another one and something would happen and they gave me like all these different options, so I was like, I'm not taking any more of those.
So
And
they
then
had you on 13 different birth control?
yes, and
No,
I was talking to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was telling a nurse practitioner that I worked with at that time, telling her about it, and she told me something about something she had ran across called an endometriosis diet or something like that. So she gave it to me, and I started looking, and she's like, maybe you need to kind of look at what you're eating that's on this list and take it out. So when I started doing that, I started feeling better. So I
So
was like,
let's talk about the 13 different birth control
"Mhm."
that they was so actually they were just experimenting.
Right.
So then I can only imagine what it was doing to your hormones.
I know. I know.
I can imagine the hormonal imbalance. And that's one thing with the mood swings and people, Jamaica, they don't really understand why their moods are up and down and around and around. So how was your mood was being when you were on those different 13 different experimental birth control?
Well, it was like 13, probably from age like 17 until like my 30s and stuff, that it had changed. I mean, it would be okay for like a couple of years and stuff, but
Your
yeah,
body,
13 total, that I had tried, um,
right?
or 13 different types of birth control things. But I know some of them would like make my skin look beautiful, and then
Mm,
if that was like too strong and was making me sick in this aspect and stuff,
right.
and then I felt like I was taking it, and I don't know, like I was mad or something all the time.
Wow. Let's talk about that. So one birth control you were on, it was making you like angry,
Well, yeah, I guess I would say angry or moody.
right? And did you think like saying, well, is this doing to me, or you just thought it was just normal?
I thought it was just me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I want you to look in that camera, Jamaica, right quick, and I want you to talk to that person who's suffering and they're tired of doing um getting blood, getting different iron supplements, you know, and they're at the end, like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do this hysterectomy. Because many don't realize after you get this hysterectomy, you still gotta deal with your hormones.
Exactly.
It doesn't like the bleeding may go away, but it actually you still now the symptoms is gone, but you still actually not dealt with the root.
Right.
So, and what I mean by that is, as the young lady, she gave you a diet change. So, what are some foods that you started doing, or what changes you made
For one
then?
thing, I stopped drinking cow's milk.
Mm.
That really, really helped a lot.
Jamaica, say that again because they're like everybody want that milk.
I stopped drinking cow's milk, and that definitely helped a whole lot.
When you say help, what do you mean by that? What does that mean to you?
I mean, after I stopped drinking cow's milk,
Mm,
I wasn't having all that cramping and stuff like I was
mm.
when my cycles were coming on and stuff.
Okay. So cow's milk, y'all. I hope y'all writing this down. So cow's milk, you took out your diet.
Hmm.
What else?
Red meat.
Why you laugh?
Because I was just thinking, I know how some people like they steaks and burgers and stuff.
You want that meat?
Mhm.
So that red meat, you took that out, and what else did you
Mhm.
take out?
Um, I stopped eating like a lot of like white stuff, like a lot of sugar, bread.
Hmm. So just in those adjustment, your body started to line up.
Right.
So then, so then, but did it totally went away, or you were still making adjustments?
I was still kind of making adjustments.
Right. So did you go back to the doctor? You told him like I'm feeling better, or you just that was just done?
Um, I think I was at that time also taking continuing to take the supplements that
Gotcha.
the other registered nurse had mentioned to me. So when I went back to my then OBGYN, I told her, I was like, I'm not having that pain and stuff. And she was like, wow. She said, whatever you're doing, you keep on doing it, Dan. She's like, 'cause I very seldom hear that.
Wow. So you go back to the doctor, and she tells you, you tell her, give her a report. She's like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Hmm.
So did you get in detail with her, or you just didn't get in detail with her?
I got in detail with her.
And what did she say?
She was just saying that that was really good.
Hmm.
She didn't say like, give me more information. Maybe I can help more people. No, she didn't say that.
Wow. So I know you're a nurse, and we're here to help. So I want you to talk to that person because it is absolutely a hormonal imbalance. What will you say to her? What will you say to encourage her? Think about when you were at your roughest, dealing with that, and you were at your wits' end. What will you say to her?
I would tell her there is hope, and it doesn't have to be a hysterectomy. So just
Mm,
know that.
mm. What else will you tell her?
Um, Maybe start by looking at what you eat.
Hmm.
What do you eat from day to day? What are you drinking? Are you drinking milk?
Right. So I know you had a journey. You did a journey, which you were a phenomenal um, uh, personal trainer. Do you miss those days?
I do. I miss
Because
seeing my guns.
yeah, I'm like we were going through pictures, and I was going through pictures, and I'm like, yeah, them guns was there now. So what will you say you miss, and what made you like put that hat up for a moment in being a personal trainer?
I definitely, with me being a mom now, I definitely don't have time to exercise the way I used to because I would go to the gym or work out for an hour, sometimes a little longer than that.
Hmm.
So,
Right. And you miss it.
yes,
Right. You miss your clients.
I do. I still, talk sometimes to a few of them, but yeah, I miss that aspect too.
Right. So let's mosey on. So now, what that day you found out, because I'm pretty sure they told you it's gonna be hard to get pregnant, and now you were getting a little bit up in age, right?
Yes,
Well, as they were saying, because Sarah was in her 90s.
yes,
Nevertheless,
yes,
so now, were you shocked when you found out that you were pregnant?
I was. I laughed
Listen,
because the last OBG, well, the OBGYN that I was going to, the one that I was telling all the changes that I made and stuff,
yes, yes.
she had when I was telling her that and stuff, she kind of mentioned to me over the years and stuff after I had to start going to her that I needed to try to get pregnant or something. Say sometimes that clears out the endometriosis and stuff. And I
For
would
real?
shake my head at her. I was like, no, I don't want to do that and stuff. And then I remember going to my last annual exam before I found out I was pregnant. I told her I was. She said something. What did she say? I told her I was like, I think I want to do something more natural for birth control. I don't want to get back on pills and stuff. I'm just going to take a break from like everything or something. And I said, and I don't want to come back in your office and be 41 and pregnant.
Wow. So what happened?
And then I came back in her office 41 and pregnant. And then she said, well. She
So
said,
you so
look who's
you pretty
in
much
my
called it
OB
yourself.
room. You say, what
You
now?
so you pretty much called it. You said, I don't want to be come back in your office and be 41 and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up back in her office,
Mm-hmm.
41 and pregnant.
Mm-hmm. And she said, look who in my OB room.
So, Jermika, y'all listen, we about to hop into the tea. You've tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess. Why? I have author, RN, registered nurse, Jermika Kennedy in the building. And y'all, we sipping on some tea on tonight. So, Jermika, you told her you didn't want to be, you want to end up being 41 and pregnant. So please tell our viewers what made you go there for did you know you was pregnant or what made you made an office visit?
Well, I had did the Proverbs 31 group with you.
Let's
And that
talk
was
about it. The Proverbs 31 day group.
that was in March of 2020. And
Uh-huh.
I remember at the end of the group, you prophesied to every lady that was in the group. That was the last thing that you did for all of us before the graduation for the completion of the program. And
Yes.
so you prophesied to every lady. And then when you called my name, and you was like, Jermika, you was like, I know you and Terrence don't want kids at this time. And you did this little laugh. And you was like, but you like, but I see you being pregnant, and the whole time I was looking at the live, I was shaking my head. No, the whole time I was like, and uh, and then I even told Terrence, and he was like, "What?" He was looking at me like I was crazy, and then I remember my sister was saying my youngest niece, she was like 12. Was she 12? I don't remember how old she was, but
Right.
she was having some issues with her cycles and stuff, and like
Right.
sometimes it would come on and or something, and it would do it come on like two times or something, and then
Right.
I said, well, mine hadn't came on. I say, so call me and tell me when hers come on. I said, because ours usually be around the same time. And then she called and said that hers came. I was like, mine's still. So I was like, I need to go to the drugstore. So I told Terrence, and I got two tests, and I took the first one, and it was like the other one, that has like the pink lines or whatever. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
this thing must be old. So I was like, let me look at the expiration date, and it was good. So I did the digital one. I was like, this thing, and then it said pregnant. And I was like, let me look at the date on this. This something must be wrong with this one too. And then no, it was right. And I remember I tried to call Terrence like 4 or 5 times. He wouldn't answer, and then he finally called back, and I was like, I took a pregnancy test, and he was like, you did? I was like, and I'm pregnant. And he was like, I'm finna come home for lunch.
Wow.
And I called my mama, and I called you too. And then you was like, I know what I saw.
Right. So, what was that experience? Even you had to unpack all of that, but I know your background is most mainly was it Baptist, right?
I grew up Baptist.
Baptist. And how was that experience from Baptist and not hearing pretty much speaking in tongues and and prophecy and supernatural? Like how was, when you first encountered, because you kind of took me back, I remember Celeste, shout out Celeste for introducing you to the group. And so how was that experience? Like what in the world is going on here?
it was very different for me, just with me growing up Baptist, and then the church that we go to now is the church that we got married at, and it's an AME. So it was
Uh,
very, very different. So I was like, it was just something I had to get used to. I remember during one of the when I first when Celeste asked me to first do the Proverbs challenge with her, and I remember I don't know, you prophesied something, and I knew in my heart that was me you was talking. I about fell off the bed.
you was like, what in the world?
Mm.
What did Celeste tell her? Nothing. Wow. So how was that? How did that shift? While we're gonna go back to the baby, but how did that shift your spiritual life?
I knew it was God because I knew I hadn't told you that, and we had
Right,
never met at that time before. We had
right,
never met, so
right.
I knew it had to be that you were a true messenger for God from God because we didn't know each other like that. And I live in Columbia, you live in Walterboro area, so
Right,
I knew that that wasn't possible.
right. And we just met. Was it
Last October,
last October?
yep,
And how many years you been in the group?
since 2016.
And that's something how God it's amazing. We and I give God glory. It's amazing how God would allow connection,
Yes,
right? So now you're enjoying your spiritual journey.
yes, very much
Amen. Glory
so.
to God. So now we're gonna hop back into that, y'all, the prophetic walk as well. So because I remember when you first when you got slayed out in the spirit.
Yes, that was the
How
first
was that
time.
experience?
That was very different. I know when I was there, and it was just like a few people, and when I got up, it was a room full of people. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I don't know how long I was down there.
God has a way of slaying us in the spirit, but I remember that day, and just to go back, your growth, Jermika, your spiritual growth. I mean, because you're a true student. You. It's many of you, but you're in the podcast tonight. You are a student. And I know a lot of it comes with your for being in nursing, being detailed because you're very detailed. And listen, y'all, she want to make sure she got it. Assignments out. I'm like, listen, but you have grown tremendously, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm
Thank you,
super proud of you.
thank you.
Yes. So now we found out we're 41 and we're pregnant.
Hmm.
And you being at your detail, being that you're a registered nurse, you're going back with all the what statistics says with the complications. Oh my God, what was that roller coaster like?
I couldn't stop crying for the first 2 weeks after I found out I was pregnant because I was like, oh my god! And I took care of some of those patients, some of the ones that were like 45 and had
Mhm,
like hypertension during pregnancy, and
mhm.
medicine wasn't helping. The IV medicine wasn't helping. She had a patch on, and that nothing was helping and stuff. So I was like, oh my goodness! And some of the other ones that were having other issues. Like diabetes and things like that. So everything was like going through my head just because I knew what I had experienced
Mhm.
with taking care of patients and stuff.
Right. So did you thought that was gonna be your story?
Um, I just wasn't sure, just because I was just going by the age thing.
Right. So what did you found out later about age and being pregnant?
Oh, you mean like after I had TJ?
While
Oh,
you
well,
going through the
I
process?
was talking to you and stuff, and I was like, well, I've taken care. And you was like, but what were they eating? And and I was like, well, some of my friends, they were older and stuff. You like, but what were they eating? That's not you.
Right, right. It was a journey, but it was a good journey, Jamaica.
It
It was
was.
a good because God allowed you to grow, and now you're helping mothers. We're gonna get into, your mother group that you have. So now you're 41 and you're pregnant, and so would you say it was more spiritual? where the enemy was putting thoughts in your head, like what it was going to look like for you? Or was it some of that and along with you being a registered nurse and you seeing it? 41-year-old, 45-year-old, like you said, hypertension, diabetes. So was it
A mixture.
of a mixture of being in the field, seeing moms pregnant and seeing the complications,
Mhm.
and also the enemy playing with your mind saying this is going to be you. You're going to be going through the same thing.
Yeah, it was a mixture of both of them, but I feel like it was definitely the enemy kind of messing with me and stuff too. Just because I remember when my belly started growing and I would be driving and stuff, I would have all this anxiety while driving and stuff, and I remember one point I had to just pull over just because I was so like anxious and stuff, and I had to call Terrence, and he was on the other side of town, so he was gonna come over there to get me. He was like, "You pregnant and you where?" And it was like nighttime too. So
Wow.
yeah,
So what was going on?
I just kept thinking something was gonna happen.
You mean to you or to the baby?
Uh, I don't, I guess like while I was driving, I guess it was just I felt like I was going, you know, I don't know what
So
I
it was
thought, but
a spiritual fight. You felt.
yes.
So what happened? What clicked where Jermika got herself together and say, I can do this. I'm 41, first pregnancy, I can do this.
Um, well, for one, I think you put me into your mentorship group, and you told
Okay.
me that way you could kind of watch me and help me a little bit more closely. And also, after talking to our pastor, we Terrence said that after I had been crying for the first 2 weeks, after I found out I was pregnant, he was like, "Look, I gotta, we got to talk to somebody." So I think I talked to you, and then we scheduled with our pastor at that time too and stuff. And he kept saying, I kept like telling him about the statistics of this and that, and he was like, "So, so what like what's the problem?" And then I remember we talked to you and Apostle as well, and then just after talking to y'all and I had shared with our then pastor, I was like, but he was asking me something about kind of like you asked, like, tell me about, like, your childhood and stuff. He asked me something like that. I was like, I was always taking care of kids and stuff, and I'm a planner and stuff. And he was like, but don't you see that God was preparing you for this? I was
Yes.
like,
Because you said statistics because and so the enemy was playing some and also being a registered nurse, you're
yes.
like, but statistics is this.
Hmm.
And God was saying, I just want you to trust me.
Yes.
So when did the light come on where you just trust him? I know you had your pastor, you had the mentorship group, you had the Proverbs group, you had a whole village, you had your husband, most importantly. And but when did it click for Jermika?
um I think after the first OB appointment where they did an ultrasound and I could see the heartbeat and stuff.
Oh,
And I was like, I'm gonna have to take care of it. Well, I don't think I knew that he was a he at that time. I was like,
right, right.
I'm gonna have to, and that's what I told Terrence. I was like, I'm gonna have to, and he's like, are you ready? You sure you ready to be mama?
Right. And you said yes.
Yes.
So what I want you looking at camera because we have that I'm gonna say over 40 woman who one wants to be a mother and one who's in her motherhood now. What will you say to her? And what I mean by that, Jermika, what will you say to her? Because your baby came out healthy, good childbirth, healthy child even to this very day, and very smart. I would say very intelligent. Y'all listen, very intelligent. And so what will you say to that mother to be or that mother who wants to be, but she's thinking about her age?
I would tell her, even though it looks like the odds are against you, to trust
Mhm.
God Don't let the statistics scare you. Don't let whatever the enemy is trying to put in your head scare you away from it either.
Awesome, awesome. And also change her diet. Change it. Well, I don't like to say diet. Change her eating habits.
Yes.
That 100%, and that cow's milk.
Yes.
Listen, let's get into it. Hey guys, you've tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess. Why? I had the one and only Jermika Kennedy in the building. So, Jermika, we're gonna run into your book, one of your books, and since we're talking about food, and one of the books is called Country Cooking. I want to quote it right. I thought I wrote down my notes, y'all. Let me go right quick. 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute. So, one of your books, which I love it, it says How I Went from Country Cooking. You mean them fat bags and them fried chicken? It said How I Went from Country Cooking to a mainly plant based way of eating. So, Jamaica, what birthed that baby, that book?
um, I wanted to help other people
Mhm.
change the way they ate, and I don't like to say diet just because and then
That's
sometimes
right.
when you say like I'm vegan or something like this,
Hmm.
placing yourself into a box. So I
That's
don't
it.
like to say that. So I just wanted to tell people about how I grew up and how I used to eat, and then I saw that things needed to change and stuff because I
Mhm.
started kind of looking at some people in my family and stuff. They have some health issues like high
Mhm.
blood pressure,
Right.
high cholesterol, some heart conditions and stuff. And I didn't want that to be my story. So I wanted
Mm.
things.
Right. So the now this book is out, right? Ebook, you said?
Yes, that's the ebook.
So how can they go and purchase that ebook? You have recipes and all that good stuff in there?
Yes. It's on
Awesome.
Amazon. Both books are on Amazon.
Right. Because we went into that. So let's talk about now your group. What birthed your group, Mahogany Mamas?
That I felt like I wanted to help other mom. I'm always wanting to help other people, but I
Well,
wanted to help other moms, not just new moms, but moms in general.
mhm,
And with me being a nurse, I like to educate. So I wanted to offer not just like education about things, but also like provide some resources and just some time where moms can, just have some time to spend with other moms.
mhm, mhm. So this is where you birthed Diamond in the Rough?
Oh, okay. I thought you said the mom
No,
group.
no, both. It's both. You're right.
Oh, Diamond in the Rough. Um, that was before I was pregnant with TJ. I
Oh wow.
started writing Diamond in the Rough. I have always seen myself as like different from my family and friends and stuff. So I
So
just
what
kind
what
of
do you,
wanted to tell my story.
what do you mean by that? When you
I was
said
I was always an oddball. Like I'm the one that was always like reading books and stuff. Or I don't know. Education was like always important to me, so I was always like reading or wanting to do like different things. Like
mhm,
I can't remember anybody else in my family that I can think of right now that
mhm,
played like a musical instrument. So I wanted to play violin when I was in
right,
elementary school, and I did that for like a few years and stuff.
right, right. So you felt like you was that diamond that was in that rough?
Yes.
So what's a I know you can't tell us the whole book. I know you love many parts of the book. What part of that book that you can share with us that stands out, even to you until this very day?
Um. hmm. I would say my favorite part is kind of where I was kind of realizing how I came into being the woman that I am today and stuff. And, because at one time I wanted to, I always felt like different and stuff. So I wanted to kind of fit in with other people and stuff. And then, it would kind of hurt my feelings when, they didn't accept me or embrace me and stuff. But then
Mm,
later on, I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to be in that group anyway.
right. So
I'm
when you say so
okay
when
with
you say you didn't fit in, what does that look like for you when you say you didn't fit in?
that. Well, like for instance, if somebody was having like a gathering and I didn't get invited, but then later on I would hear about like a lot of people that I know, they all went and stuff. So, oh, everybody got invited except me, you know.
Mhm.
And then that would kind of bother me and stuff. But then I was like, well, you know what? It wasn't meant for me to go anyway. And then I was like, well, that just shows too we don't have anything in common, like, or we don't have that type of relationship, I guess.
Right. So you wouldn't say a black sheep. You just feel like you just didn't feel like you fit in into
Right,
that particular group.
right, right.
Right. So how do you, as an adult now, how do Jamaica, how do you do it now? How do you maneuver around?
Um, well, at that time and even now, I do stuff by myself. Like I know even when I was before I was pregnant or something, I would go uh like exercise and stuff, and I would talk to
Mhm.
my dad and he'd be like, where you going, today, or what you doing today? And I'd say, I'm going to this place, or I found this event or something, and I've always wanted to go. So, I'm gonna go by myself. And he's like, why you ain't going with like a group of other ladies? I was like, well, some ladies, they don't like what I like, so I'm gonna go by myself. I have no problem with that. He was like, oh, really?
Well, he said, but he was saying you sure grown, like you grown over the years. Wow, and that's a good place, Jamaica, to when one can get there. Like I can go to the restaurant by myself.
Hmm.
I can go to the gym by myself. I can go to the park. I can, like you said, work out. And I believe, and I want you to touch on it a little bit. What do you say is when a person find themselves or know like it's okay?
You say what now?
I said, how do one get there to where you are now saying it's okay to go to a restaurant by myself? It's okay to go to the library. It's okay to do these things by myself without needing a whole squad of people.
Oh, I had to learn to love myself and know
Mm,
that, you know, it's okay. Everybody ain't gonna like you and stuff,
mm,
and just be, happy with myself.
mm. That's good. That's good. So they're gonna usher us right back in to Mahogany Mamas. So why is Jamaica so passionate about Mahogany Mamas and what birthed her?
Um, I guess because after I had my son, there were like other women around and stuff, but um, I had him during the pandemic and stuff, so at that time they were around, like calling and stuff, but I didn't have like a group of people where we could hang out, and they had babies and we could kind of share like parenting tips and things like that. So I didn't have that, so I felt like now I'm at the point where I can kind of offer to help other moms, new moms that are coming in, new moms that are pregnant, and even even though I'm a mom now, I feel like I don't feel like I know it all or anything, so I feel like I can still learn too.
So how did Jamaica balance wife, mom, registered nurse, in her career? How did she balance? How did Jamaica balance that now?
It was a it was a struggle at first, just because I wasn't used to balancing all that. But I feel
Mhm.
like I got it down now.
You got it. You got it for real. You got it for real, for real. Um, yes, you do. You have it. So what will you tell that new mom that's older, you know, and have the career kind of like looks similar to Jamaica's story, and she's pulling her hair out because she hasn't clicked. What will you say to her?
um, yeah, it's got to be a balance and a self help, and I would say to also have some time for you, because that's
Mm,
really where it kind of that was a big problem with me, like growing and becoming a mom, adding mom to the mix of being a wife and registered nurse and stuff, a new role as a mom and stuff. It was just hard, and I didn't take time for me and stuff. So, because I remember one time you called me and you were like, "Who are you talking to?" And when do you find time for yourself? Basically, was what you were asking me. So, you
right.
always have to have time for yourself.
So would you encourage her to have a community, to have a mentor, a spiritual mentor?
Yes, that definitely helps as well.
Right. Because Jamaica, a lot of people don't realize having a community and having a mentor, it helps. It helps balance you. Oftentimes we get too close to that mirror where we can't literally see. We're just going, and someone pull you aside and say, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay for that moment.
Right,
Let's gather ourselves so we can be okay.
right.
Right. So you're out here now. So you're being that mentor to other women where you can tell them, listen, I did this. I where you at right now, I went through that journey and I came out. And as you came out, then come out. So I know you're revamping Mahogany Mamas, right?
Yes.
And so I know you're gonna have her. So when you think you're gonna have her fully, or you want to share, if you don't, that's fine. What can it do to like connect with you? It's like I'm waiting on Mahogany Mamas, but what Jamaica, you revamp it. So what can I do if I need to talk to you for a moment?
I can share the email.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I'm kind of thinking of which direction to
Got
go
you.
with the revamping.
Right. So she's revamping y'all. So look out for Mahogany Mamas. Y'all, this is registered nurse Jamaica. And she's also, but she didn't say much about that, but she's also certified as a natural health coach as well.
Yes.
So you're getting both. So Jamaica, before we end this podcast, right? Um, so are you loving putting the two together? And I always tell my colleagues in the naturopath world, I believe the two can coincide. I believe natural health and also medicine, if we come together, we can customize something to work for people. So, how do you feel about interchanging these two worlds in your world?
Yeah, I feel like they can fit and work great together.
That's right. That's right. So, look, you guys, you've tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess Y. I had the one and only Jermika Kennedy. So, Jermika, I know you have some more books that's settling in your belly that you're waiting to produce. So I know in your time and enjoying little TJ and enjoying still being that mom and being that wife and having that career. Just enjoy life.
Thank you.
Enjoy life. So Jamaica, so on Tea Talk with Prophet's Wives podcast, I always have a few gifts. And I love gifts.
Oh.
Y'all who love gift giving. So I have you a care pack.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes, I have a care pack here. But before I go to your care pack, what's your favorite quote?
Um, it's a portion of one quote from Maya Angelou, and it's when you know better, do better.
You better come on. When you know better, you gotta do better. In our country voice. Listen. So Jamaica, I have a few gifts. I have, and you can see it. Is this green tea?
Okay.
And this is mint green tea. Y'all know when I do mugs, right? I do it based on the person's personality. But Jamaica, I saw this candle. And I'm not really into candles, but when I saw this candle, I immediately thought about you.
Oh,
And it's a sea salt and lily, and it says healing.
oh, I love that. Thank you. I
Yeah.
like it.
Uh-huh. I also have you some matcha green tea here as well.
Okay.
And let's get into, can we get into the mugs, y'all? So I know I stayed earlier, and I know a little bit about your journey, becoming the mom at 41. And I know in the beginning was a little scary. You didn't know how this journey was going to end, but I saw this, and you guys know I love butterflies, right? And when I saw this, I immediately thought about you. And it says, best mom ever.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's beautiful.
And it says, best mom ever. And you guys know I don't say things just to say it. I say it because I mean it. And I'm just so proud of the wife you are, the mom you are, just you as a person. You are caring. And it's not just even dealing with clients, patients, it's just you as a person. So when I saw this mug right here, I got you two mugs.
Oh, well, thank
And
you.
I thought about you, and it says this Ecclesiastes 3 and 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time.
Oh, oh, it's pretty. Thank you.
And I didn't know that part of your journey when you said you didn't felt like you fit in. But the word says this, there's always a time and a season. And I believe I know with everything in me, Jamaica, it is your time. I know mahogany mamas is going to be a blessing to many other women. So you guys right now, those of you that on the journey of healing with endometrius, those of you on the journey of wanting to become that have a child at an older age, or you're in it right now and you just need strategy on balancing. I want you guys to look right quick for Jamaica ways to follow her. Even though she's revamping Mahogany Mamas, you can still email her. You can get on her email list. So whenever she comes out with the finished part of revamping Mahogany's Mamas, you could be on it. You can get that email. So when she relaunch, you can be on point. So you can help. So you can get that assistant you need. Jamaica, I want you to look in the camera and give your final words um, to the viewers on tonight.
I just want to thank you, Prophetess, first for inviting me and allowing me to share my story. To the moms, to the other moms that are, looking to have a child, I would say, don't let nobody, you know, speak negatively and deter you from that dream.
Amen. Look, you guys, you heard it first here on Tea Talk with Prophetess Wise podcast with the one and only Jamaica Kennedy. Before we leave, Jamaica Kennedy, we can't leave without you doing this. I need you to give a shout out to your hubby, Terrence Sr., and a shout out to your son, TJ Jr. Well, he is TJ is mean Jr.,
Okay.
Terrence Jr.
Shout out to my hubby, Terrence Sr., and our little TJ. Love
So let's
y'all.
do one at a time.
Oh. Shout out to my hubby, Terrence Jr. I love you. And then shout out to our son, TJ. Mommy loves you, and I'll see y'all later.
All right. So look, you guys, you've tuned in with Tea Talk with Prophetess Wise podcast. I thank you guys for tuning in on tonight. I leave with you Habakkuk 2, second chapter, the second and third verse. God says, Habakkuk was sitting, y'all, by the wayside. And Habakkuk said, I'm the only prophet left. God said to Habakkuk, no, you're not. So Habakkuk was like, what are you going to do, God? God said, Habakkuk, listen, write the vision. Write what you're seeing. Write the vision, make it plain, so he who reads it can run with it. You say, Prophetess, why? Coach, why? What are you saying? Listen, write that vision down. Jermika said it earlier. She began to dream. She began to have a vision in the beginning as a little child, caring and nurturing for people. And here she is today, a registered nurse and a author, and run a phenomenal, amazing group called Mahogany's Mamas with two books, Diamond in the Rough and Leaving from Country Living to Plant-based eating. So y'all listen, where there's a vision, God will give you provision. This is Tea Talk with Prophetess. Why? I love you guys. Like boring. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Look out for the next podcast with the one and only Miss Williams. That's going to be on next Saturday. All right. Love you guys. Have a blessed and amazing night.